What's going on, everybody? Abiel here with Make Life Dope. Before I jump into this video, I need to give a little backstory. If you didn't watch my previous video reviewing the L2 eRX group set, I'll go back and sort of explain the timeline and how all this came about. So back in about February this year, I started seeing some of the news come out about this new electronic group set. China Cycling posted about it, and there were like 2 or 3 videos floating around about this new electronic group set by this company L2. I quickly became very interested because I was in the beginning stages of figuring out how to develop some bikes, and this became pretty interesting for me because of the price point and some of the claims that the videos made. So long story short, I reached out to the company because I was planning a trip to China anyway for work. For those who don't know, I'm a clothing designer, and most of the stuff that I do is manufactured in China, including my cycling brand, CRC. This is actually one of our new jerseys that's going to be dropping. Yes, that's a boob. It's going to be releasing between now and next month. But anyway, so I reached out to them, and since I was going to be in China anyway, wound up linking up with one of the guys that sort of helps them with their marketing. When I was out in China, we wound up meeting up. I wound up testing 2 of their bikes, one of them which had the electronic group set. And I was very impressed with the performance. It was very quick. Everything felt pretty nice. The quality seemed pretty on par with like Shimano and SRAM. So I was like, you know what, this looks promising. I want to go ahead and test this out and kind of use it for a few months and see how it goes. So long story short, I got my hands on a group set when they did the public release. I think this was like sometime in May. So between May and now, I've been testing the group set, and honestly, it's been a lot of headaches. I've wanted this thing to work because I think it has a lot of potential, but it's been just back-to-back issues. And those of you who also follow Trace Velo, Grant from GC Cycling, and also China Cycling, you would also know that they've also had similar issues as myself. So the good thing about all this is that I've been in constant communication with their team, and they've been as helpful as they could possibly be to help me resolve some of these issues. I've replaced the battery case, I've replaced the battery. It's worth mentioning that when I went on this trip, this second trip, which I just came back from, a day before I left, my entire system literally just shut down and stopped working. According to what they were able to see from my feedback and my videos that I sent them, was that somehow there was a short circuit or something like that in the main module, and the entire thing stopped working. So when I went out to China and I met with them, I got a chance to visit their new factory and everything, which I'll get into in a minute. They actually gave me a replacement rear derailleur, which they sent to me after I got back from my trip. And I wound up replacing it on the bike, and everything was working fine at home. I had not tested the bike since I got back, which has been about almost 2 weeks now. Last night I fine-tuned everything. I made sure I went gear by gear, made sure everything was working fine. So lo and behold, I go on my bike ride this morning. Everything's fine the first half of the ride. Then all of a sudden my front derailleur stops working. Literally like 2 minutes after that, my front derailleur stops working also. So I stop, get off the bike, I connect it to the app, see what's going on. I'm able to shift the rear derailleur through the app. The front derailleur is just not working at all. There's just no communication between my shifters and my derailleurs. My shifters seem to be working perfectly fine because the light turns on when I press the buttons. Also, when I hold the connection button, the green light stays on. But when I try to connect it to any of the derailleurs, nothing happens. That's been my experience thus far. You know, it's just been back-to-back nuances with this group set. I'll get to my conclusion after I talk about my sit down with the guys over at L2. I'll let you guys know how my conversation went. So anyway, so while I was in China, I went there for various reasons, but one of them was I was really interested to sit down with these guys and get in front of them and sort of get some clarification on what's going on with this group set and what the future of the company and the group set looks like. I think there's a lot of unanswered questions. There's probably, if I had to guess, a lot of people frustrated. I went there with hope to get some answers and be able to make a video to provide some insight and information. So L2 just moved into a new facility. It's a huge building. The new L2 facility. Beautiful building. If I'm not mistaken, it was about 8 or 9 floors. I was staying in Guangzhou and I drove out to, I forget the name of the city where the new factory is. Drove out about 2 hours to go meet these guys. They were very nice, very welcoming. The first thing they did was give me a tour of the facility. Huge factory, which I think says a lot about what the company stands for and the direction they're trying to go. I think these guys, all in all, are very forward thinking, and I'll get into the details in a minute as to why I still have confidence in what it is they're doing. Despite my overall confidence in the eRX group set, I sat down with these guys for about an hour, asked them a bunch of questions. I got a bunch of answers, so I want to share with you guys some of these details that they shared with me. First and foremost, the $1 million question is, what's going on with the eRX group set, right? And I sat down with the COO of the company. I actually got to also meet the owner, very nice guy. I met with the COO and the head of sales. One of the first questions that I asked was, what's going on with this eRX group set? What are you guys doing to resolve some of these issues? Have most of the issues been resolved? And what can we expect with the eRX system? According to them, one of the first things that they told me was that they've reworked the website to have a better user experience, to address some of the issues and offer support to some of the customers that are having issues with the group set. They expressed to me very confidently that they believe that most of the issues have been eradicated. I was very blunt and transparent with them, and I expressed my frustrations with the group set in person as much as I did also through chat. These guys assured me that they're doing everything in their power to eliminate most of these issues, and according to them, they're most of the way there. They expressed that there's a very small percentages of group sets that are faulty, and they've since then made some modifications to the software and some of the hardware, and they've been assisting customers in getting replacement parts and things of that nature, which I know they've done with me. And they said that there are a ton of people that are very happy with it and that they've had no issues and have no complaints. How true that is, I'm not sure. I can't attest for them, but they seem pretty honest, so I'll give them the benefit of doubt. I myself haven't had the same experience. Even after I swapped out numerous parts, I'm still having middle of the ride, group set stops working, connectivity issues, etc., etc. The next thing that I'll mention is that they said that the first quarter of 2024, they're going to be doing some sort of release event, kind of like how Apple does, announcing all of the new products and developments coming for next year. And one of the things is going to be the new iteration of the eRX, and they've taken all the feedback, negative and positive, from their customers, also some of the teams that have been testing the group sets, and this new version, according to them, will have resolved all the issues from the first iteration. Looking forward to that. Going there, seeing everything in person, obviously helped boost my confidence a little bit and believe a little bit more in the company and its trajectory. They also expressed a few things worth mentioning that I think are pretty interesting. Number one of the things they're putting some focus on is 9 to 12 speed hydraulic group sets, because some of these bigger companies are not really focused on that, and they're kind of like really focused on what the majority of the people are using. But there are a bunch of people out there that are still using like old school bikes and things of that nature, and they want to look to sort of fill that void with their group sets. So they're still putting focus and offering customers that versatility that you'll be able to use their group sets with 9 to 12 speed configurations. So that's pretty cool. They also expressed to me that right now they're currently working and testing with a lot of major brands such as Giant, Bianchi, and Meridia. They're working very closely to test some of the future products that they're working on. They're creating, alliances with these companies because their goal is to be able to supply some of these bike companies and ensure that L2 becomes a viable group set in the future to become a prime competitor with Shimano, with SRAM. That's their main objective, and they are working closely with some of these big bike companies and some of these teams to test out some of the new products. They said that there's going to be a lot of cool new technology they're going to be introducing for next year. One of the things that they mentioned is, since the e-bike thing has sort of exploded in the last 2-3 years or whatever, they're also putting some focus on that. I don't know if you guys know, but they also have an ERG group set that's their gravel electronic group set, which they also released after the eRX group set. That's another thing that they've also been making improvements based off of the feedback. I think they said that there's going to be also a new iteration of that sometime next year. And that's one of the things that's going to be announced in the first quarter of 2024. They're also looking to figure out how to integrate, for e-bikes, integrate electronic group sets that basically feed the power from the e-bike battery versus having to have a separate battery for the group set itself, which I thought was pretty interesting. And I haven't really heard any companies speaking about this option as far as I'm concerned. There might be some out there, but these guys expressed to me that they're putting some focus on that because they think that this has a lot of potential for the future. They also mentioned that they're working also with some companies to develop inner hub gears that work integrated with their group sets, which also sounded pretty interesting. And that they're also looking to use better chips in their modules so that they have like lower power consumption. They claim that they're working with one of the best pro teams in China to test out all of their new products, and they're taking a lot of feedback from them, and they're really putting a lot of effort in improving everything they have on hand, as well as introduce a lot of new innovative things for the next year to come. Going back to what they said about them revamping their website, for anyone who's having issues, if you go on there now, there's an FAQ section that has been updated according to them. And also the way that you can get in touch with them is a lot more streamlined, because they said that previously their customer service, when eRX was first launched, was being handled by their sales team, who is not very tech savvy, obviously. But now they have combined their tech team with their customer service team to offer much more streamlined support and help with anyone who's having issues with the group sets. They said they also have videos that help explain some of the FAQs. And then another thing that I asked them about was their group set, eRX group set, wasn't offered with a chain, with a cassette or a crankset. And I asked them if it was in their future plans to offer full group sets as SRAM and Shimano do. And they are working on becoming more vertically integrated, because a lot of these components require special machinery, which they didn't have before. But they said that they've already acquired some, and they will be acquiring more in the future. And their goal is to, sometime next year or the year after, be able to offer full group sets directly from them. So that's about all the information that I have from them. Like I said, overall, I think these guys have a lot of potential. They're pretty serious about what they're doing. I mean, I think based off of the videos that I've included here, you can tell they have a pretty good understanding of what they're doing. I think they're focused on growth. In my mind, I don't think there's a world where they're just going to leave things as far as like these initial versions of the group sets not working as they should. I think it comes with any company trying to innovate or do something that's competitive out there, including your Apples and your Samsungs. They haven't always had successful launches. I think when you release the first version of something, you're always going to run into issues. I've been in product development and manufacturing for many, many years, and it happens. So as much as it is frustrating, I think some of us, like myself, who has a deeper understanding of what it takes to develop product and put things out, I approach these things with an open mind and a little bit more patience than maybe most of the people out there. So, I do have a lot of sympathy for some of the customers who are having issues with the group set, because it is very frustrating. But I think we should sit tight and wait to see what the second and third iteration of these technologies look like, because I think it will be very interesting. And I think these guys do have a shot of becoming, one of the biggest competitors out there in the world of cycling. So all that said, I'd like to conclude by saying that I, for now, will have to hold back from recommending this group set to anyone out there. As much as there might be a lot of group sets that are working out there, the last thing you want as a cyclist is to be in the middle of a peloton or something like that, or a group ride, not have that reliability that your group set is going to stop working or you're just going to get dropped. Pretty frustrating. So I think for now, I'm going to stay away from offering it on my future line of bikes that I'm working on, which I'll be offering 3 models. I'm going to stick to Shimano for now, but I still have my mind open, and I still have confidence that they will get their stuff together for next year. And I'm looking forward to testing their second iteration of the group set. And hopefully by then, these major issues have been resolved, and hopefully we'll have a viable alternative to some of these bigger brands at a better price point that will work and will be good quality. Because when this thing works, it works amazing. The shifting speed is like nothing I've ever ridden before, and I've owned Shimano, I've owned SRAM, both electronic, both and mechanical. And when this thing works, it works phenomenal. But if it's not working after the time, then what's the point, right? So that's all for now. I'd love to hear any type of feedback here in the comments. If anybody else is having any type of experience that they'd like to share, I'm just here to shed some light on my experience and answer some of the questions. And thankfully, I was fortunate enough to go sit with these people and get insight on their company and see what they're working on for myself and share with you guys and, understand what's the future potential. So that's all for now. Until next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.